Welcome back to The Count. Our countdown continues with story number 6, border flip-flop. After spending weeks running away from her record on the border, denying she was the border czar, Kamala Harris now apparently wants to be known as the border czar. Don't believe me? Check out this new ad released by her campaign.
Kamala Harris has spent decades fighting violent crime. As a border state prosecutor, she took on drug cartels and jailed gang members for smuggling weapons and drugs across the border. As vice president, she backed the toughest border control bill in decades. And as president, she will hire thousands more border agents and crack down on fentanyl and human trafficking. Fixing the border is tough. So is Kamala Harris.
That right there is the very definition of gaslighting. It's unbelievable. Let's bring in our panel to react. Derek Maltz, former DEA Director of Special Operations. Also with us, Ronald Vitello, former ICE Acting Director and former Chief of Border Patrol. Ronald, she wants to abolish ICE, right? But she's the border czar. She's going to... You know what's crazy to me? Do they not realize that we know that she's already in office, right? And that why doesn't she do it now? Why do we have 20 million illegals flooding our nation, invading our country from over 180 countries? How they're going to fix the border? They're the ones who broke it.
Absolutely right. Remember that she was appointed by the president to work on this problem. And what did she do? She said, I'm going to go and I'm going to meet with people in Guatemala. I'm going to work on root causes. Well, the root cause of what the crisis that exists on our border right now is Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and the policy choices that they made to incentivize people from all over the world to come and cross the border while they're in office. And how long ago was she a border state prosecutor? That was her responsibility to prosecute criminals in California. She's been the president, the vice president for almost 4 years. She's done absolutely nothing except destroy the control levels that they inherited on the border when they took office.
You know, Derek, we've talked at length about the drug poisonings that are happening en masse across our country, China supplying the materials, the drug cartels. Here, we're seeing it in New York City, the Venezuelan gangs, and now it's spreading all across the country, the heists and the jewelry stores getting robbed in Denver. Kamala Harris, tough on crime. Give me a break. Why hasn't she done anything since she's been VP?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, Ron said it very well. I mean, reversing the effective policies that were in existence when they got the job, I still don't understand that. So what about the 300,000 plus dead Americans that died under a watch? Right now, the cartels are running the largest ever human smuggling, sex trafficking, drug trafficking networks we've ever seen, making billions of dollars. But the thing I don't understand, Lydia, I keep talking about this, but so the FBI director keeps telling everybody that China is the #1 national security threat. So does the border czar, Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden talk to the FBI director? Because they are the bosses, right? So we're letting 4,000 a month Chinese nationals come into America. That is insanity to me. So I don't understand. It's all deception. It's all coming down the stretch now, lying to the American public with the mainstream media just supporting this craziness.
Right, and you've been censored. I know some of the YouTube videos that you've talked about this. They've been, taken off of social media. It's really insane how coordinated this effort is to not get Trump reelected. So also, Ronald, not only that, Harris is now arguing that voters should listen to her on the border because she clearly knows what she is talking about. Take a listen to this.
I was Attorney General of a border state. I went after the transnational gangs, the drug cartels, and human traffickers. I prosecuted them in case after case, and I won. So I know what I'm talking about.
I mean, really? Really, you know what you're talking about? And then they also go on to blame President Trump when we know under President Trump, our border was secure. It was under control.
she inherited a border that had 50-year lows in illegal migration across that border. For 50 years, a 50-year low in activity of illegal, that's what they inherited, and then they blew it up. Okay, so she prosecuted drug smugglers when she was the Attorney General in California. Great, I'm happy for that. But since she's been the vice president, they caused the worst surge on the southwest border than we've ever seen. She's given more money in the pockets of the cartels than almost any other human being. Joe Biden, no better vice president than Kamala Harris if you're a drug smuggler or if you're the Taliban in Afghanistan, because they've empowered these cartels in a way that was unfathomable 4 years ago.
You know, Derek, she doesn't mention during her rallies, but she has called for the defunding of the police, right? She also put on her Twitter that she wanted the people that rioted during the BLM riots to be bailed out. She wants to abolish ICE. Now she wants to portray herself as a law and order candidate.
Right. So, Lydia, you know, what's happening in America right now that people should be very alarmed about is the morale is so low in federal law enforcement, state and local law enforcement. They're all retiring. A lot of the experienced officers and agents and leaders, they're retiring because they felt no support from the top of the federal government. And that's a big problem. Like, a great example is yesterday, right? She was in Arizona for the 4th time, the border czar. She didn't go to the border. She didn't talk to the brave men and women in the Border Patrol. You know what they just seized in Arizona last week? 4 million pills of these deadly, you know, M30s that are coming into our country, poisoning our citizens. You would think that she would go and talk to the experts. And Lydia, to be honest, one of the main problems I have with this current administration is how are you supposed to learn about what's going on at the border if you don't talk to the experts from CBP, from Border Patrol, from, you know, all these agencies that are working the cartels and the sex smuggling? I don't understand how that's done because they don't have the experience, and their lack of experience is causing everyone in America to suffer. And these beautiful people that were recently murdered and raped that we could talk about all day, that's their legacy. It's disgusting. And the people that are voting for this, they're selfish. Yeah. They're narcissistic because don't they have kids and grandkids? Yeah. Don't they care about the future? Right. Without law and order, you don't have a country.
You certainly don't. We have to leave it there. Derek Maltz, Ronald Vitello, thank you both so much for joining us.